Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to Reezy Talks episode number 74. Not 73, 74. Don't trust the artwork. I'll correct that later. We are glad to have you guys. If you are listening, we have 60 people live on YouTube, and for some reason that's been happening to me lately. YouTube does not let me mute the video. So shout out to the 60 people watching on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw those in there. But without further ado, let me introduce you to Eric and Sebastian, aka Amazon Lit on Instagram. What is up, guys?
What's going on, Reezy? Pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Dude,
thanks for having us.
I'm so glad to have you guys. I've been seeing you guys around on Instagram, and obviously you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah, we try.
We're learning every day. I mean, shit. If once you start, once you tell yourself you know what you're doing, and you stop growing. So
Right.
I know for myself every day is like new. I mean, there's plenty of content I've watched with you that I had no idea about, and I took it, and we're growing our company from where we are, 8 figures. Grabbing material from you on a daily basis and being able to use that. So I go on Instagram not only to get to bring information, but Eric always says it, like, we learn so much from the people who come to us looking for information. They share so much knowledge with us as well.
Isn't that amazing how it works, man? Just
Yeah.
one little nugget, you can go on like a 3-day event, and then one thing one guy says at dinner, you know what I mean? You're like, bro, you just saved me like 20 grand. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
one nugget, you know what I mean? So that's cool, man. We all are definitely learning all the time. So before we get into things, let's just talk about like what your business model is, what kind of numbers, where you're at right now, and then we'll go into the backstory.
Sure. Sure. So our business model is primarily wholesale. We're going into our 7th year of being online and specifically mainly on Amazon. Started in retail arbitrage, did a little online arbitrage, but nowadays it's wholesale and private label, a nice mix of both. We do a lot more of the private label for the higher profit margins, exclusive listings, and then we mix it up with the wholesale, which is our volume, and profit margins are still strong. They're not as strong as private label, but it's really about the volume game there.
Awesome. What kind of numbers on average wholesale profit? You're doing something around like 15, 20, or is it higher like 30?
Uh, Profit margin,
Yeah, for wholesale.
it's in the 20s.
Okay. And how about the private label stuff?
Private label goes all the way up. I mean, we have private labels, ACEs that we're doing 60, 70%, even a couple
Yeah,
hundreds.
I would say average is higher 20s, low 30s for the private label.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, we have some, like I said, that we're doing double the numbers, and then there's others which move a little bit better, but our lower numbers are in the high 20s to low 30s.
Awesome. So what is your space like? You guys working out of a garage or what?
So we have a 20,000 square foot warehouse. 3/4 of that is warehouse, and the other 5,000 square feet is office space. You can actually see in the corner we got a little snippet. There's a window out there that overlooks our warehouse.
We're in one of the conference rooms right now, so in here you can see a little snippet, like Eric said, of our warehouse downstairs.
Nice. Do you guys have a YouTube channel or not? I looked, I didn't see anything.
No, we do not. We just started the Instagram thing maybe 6 months ago, and the Facebook thing. Most of our full-time job, everyday job is Amazon. We're
Right.
one of the largest third-party Amazon sellers in the country, and like that's what we do all the time. So it's tough for us to kind of branch out and spend time building YouTube channels,
Yeah.
and building our Instagram. It's not a lot of time.
Trust me, it's impossible. It might be impossible.
Yeah.
Because it's like people think that I'm still like going to the thrift store just to get books, and I'm like, man, it's like you don't understand how long it takes, to make a video or to set up a live stream and just to coordinate stuff. Like I still do that stuff, but you know what I mean? Like that's, when I'm doing that, I'm making content for the most part, right? Otherwise, I have systemized operations that, yes, that produces income for me, but this is more of my thing now. You know what I mean? And when I think about my Amazon business, I have to do it in a different way than I used to do it. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm really stoked to listen to this interview and just to talk to you guys, because wholesale and private label, I think, is basically the only way forward for me as far as being able to scale, my input and my involvement and output, versus driving around and doing, retail arbitrage. Even if I'm buying carfuls of Nikes or whatever, it's still very labor tedious, and it requires me and whoever else to go here or there. It's just not super scalable. So I'm just super excited. So
Yeah, and we get that because, like Sebastian said earlier, that's how we started. That's how he started this business, was going around to stores and picking up a few cases of products and then getting a few pallets and then getting 12, 13 pallets at a time, and then it was just too much. It was just too much doing.
What's your guys' background?
Sebastian, you want to start there?
Waiter bartender with a passion to sell things.
Awesome.
Yeah. There really was no background, but I just caught the bug about 7-8 years ago, and it got to the point where my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, was like, "Listen, you gotta calm down or I'm leaving," because I was 18, 19 hours. I mean, I would sleep 3-4 hours a night. And I'd go right back to the basement and plugging away. And I've learned so much of the business. We've had the opportunity to sit with some of the largest wholesalers in the country, and they ask us too, what's the background? And, I tell them, and they're like, you didn't go to school for it? And, no, we didn't, but we've picked up the same material that someone would that does go to school, and we've delved into it because we love it. Just like we were talking about you before the show, and exactly what you said, if people think you just throw on a camera and put a mic in front of you and that's it. I was like, no, I know to get 90,000 subscribers on YouTube, you're hustling day in and day out on that.
Right. It doesn't work like that. I was talking to somebody about it recently, and it was like, because I'm almost at the 100,000, right? So people treat it differently, because if I do YouTube, and they look, it's like 7,000, 8,000, 12,000, 18. Like, they're like, cool, whatever. But when they see 90, you know what I mean? I feel like everyone knows you get that. That's like that level, you get the plaque or whatever. They're like, oh, damn. Like, even my mom, she's like, wow, you're really doing it, and I'm like, I've been doing it. You know what I mean? Like, no one pays attention until you get in the freaking Lambo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. We deal with the same thing. We go to lots of shows, and when you go to a show and you tell someone you're an online seller, you're dealing with the same people who are in their basement and just starting off, and nothing wrong with that. But the wholesalers and manufacturers look at you like you're on that same level. And then when they come to our facility and see what we're about, they're like, oh, you guys really sell online. And like, we really do. We've been doing this for quite some time, and we understand the dynamics of it.
Yeah. It's not a mom and pop operation.
No, not anymore. No.
And with the companies and brands we work closely with, we have an open door policy with them, and it's all about growing and harvesting that relationship. So, they're welcome to stop by, just give us a call, whether it's an hour before, if they're in town, and we welcome them.
Where are you located at?
We're in northern New Jersey.
Awesome.
Yeah, so right in the Morris County area.
I gotta swing by.
Yeah, you aren't too far away.
Do a little. Well, it is just 3,000 miles.
No, when you were here, when you were seeing.
I wasn't. That's what I was thinking. I got to come back for that pizza anyways. So
yeah. We were just out in Cali a couple days ago over at Expo West.
Where's that?
Anaheim.
Okay. Yeah, that's about 6 hours south of me. I'm more northern, a little colder. Yeah. But I want to do a series where I travel around and interview people who are making a living using the internet. So you guys would be super good candidates for that.
Yes.
So let's talk about how you guys got started. Can we go into some details of it? Because you seem to have moved along pretty fast, right? To get to where you're at in 7 years from starting?
Yeah, I think we came in at a good time as well. When I was starting this, I was primarily going into food. It's just because what just fell in my lap, kind of. Same thing like a lot of people. I was a disgruntled employee. and started going to Costco and BJ's and Sam's Club, and I started picking up their promotions and their products that were on coupon and on off price things, and it just picked up. But it was a lot of food early on. I had a lot of friends that just 7 years ago that were like, no one's going to buy food online. Because at that point, like, they got away from books and it was going into all the electronics and the accessories and things, but they really weren't buying food yet online. It's just 7 years ago, but I mean,
Right.
so much has changed since then. And now it's like people don't even think twice. So now we, 30% of what we do is food. We do health, beauty, personal care, toy products, pet products. But that's where it started. It started by going to retail arbitrage to the wholesale clubs, the BJ's, the Costco.
Both of you guys together?
It was just me at first. Then shortly after, I was renting a room at my uncle and aunts. They had a house, and I was renting a room from them. So shortly after, they seen I was filling up their basement, and they were very curious what I was doing in their basement. I was living with just my cousin at that house. Just me and him were there, and so they decided, to join me part time. And then, shortly after that, we moved out of there, got our first little 1,200 square foot warehouse, and then
Oh, you guys are cousins.
Eric is like a brother to me.
Yeah,
but,
I've known Sebastian for what, 17 years now?
Yeah, half our lives.
Yeah.
And,
So at some point, Eric came in.
yeah, right when we got our first warehouse, he was right there and ready to jump in.
So what are you guys partners?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Why would someone want to bring on a partner? What type of different value, a partner can provide to a situation?
I would say a different perspective, like, first of all, Sebastian's a great friend of mine, and we go way back, right? So like, there's days where I might not be feeling it or he might not be feeling it. We're humans, and part of the human condition is just not being happy all the time. It would be very, very weird if we just woke up like jumping out of bed every single morning excited about the day, which happens often. But like, there's some days where I might not be feeling it, he may be feeling it, and we're able to motivate each other and bounce off each other's energy, and kind of feel the vibes, and also run ideas, bounce ideas off of each other. It's been we probably don't spend enough time doing it, but we spend a couple hours a week talking about what we need to do to grow the business and take it to the next level, and we'll sit down with him, myself, and Ted, who's his uncle he was just talking about, and we'll just bounce ideas off the wall and see what sticks, and some of them we run with, and some of them we don't, and some of them we push off for a month or two, but like, it's all about collaborating and kind of just figuring things out together.
Growing a business is so difficult just by yourself, Reezy. And
yeah.
And then when you bring people in, so when I was bringing people in, it had to be people that I could critique, and they could critique me, and I wouldn't take it personal. So you really have to be on a different level.
Gotta be a bro.
You got to be on a different level with that person.
Bro.
You got to be definitely a bro.
No, I'm the same way, bro. I was just telling someone this weekend, I was like, the most motivating thing for me is having someone that I respect and look up to or admire. They're on my level, or above what I would, and they just look at you and they're like, bro, you're fucking up right now. Yeah, you could do better. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm like, oh shit, like that person said it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But for a lot of people, that wouldn't work. You know what I mean? So it's all about finding that partner that fits, what you need. Like me and my business partner, I'm the risk taker. He's the voice of reason. Mm-hmm. So I might have, 100 crazy ideas, and, we might actually try only 10 of them, because he pointed out, all the logic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
you need that yin and the yang, to balance each other out. Definitely. 100%.
The yin and the yang.
100%.
Your business partner, which one of you is the yin and which one of you is the yang?
It depends what the yin does.
I would say so like on a daily day, on a daily day, Sebastian's the guy who will like buy $60,000 worth of one product and like not even think about it. And then Ted, the other partner here, he's the guy who like doesn't want to spend any money. And then I'm in the middle, kind of hearing him out and like You know,
He's
thinking
our
of
pure
the pros
mediator.
and the cons of the. Of
That's
each
how it works,
situation.
man.
Yeah.
You got to get the system down. I've had so many purchases where, it was so good, but I couldn't get any more, but I could have got a lot more.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? 100 and it sold in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I should have bought 1,000
Yeah.
or 5,000 or whatever,
Yeah.
but by the time you realize how fast it actually sells, it's done, but
Yeah.
I think the more that happens, you get better at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get that feeling is just a little stronger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You learn, and there's been times that we've purchased way too much of something, and then we have to sit on it and liquidate it. And other times, like you said, where we purchased something and we're like, shit, we should have got 100 times more of that.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go into some questions. I got a good first question here. Keaton wants to know, what's the biggest mistake that you made early on?
Which one? The biggest one?
I know it's a funny question. I'm like, yeah, that's how everything was a mistake. At least for me, that's how you learn, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe you got something in there.
I mean, one of the biggest things I think of off the top, I mean, I wish I could share the main one, but I can't. I can share a second one, which was we used to sell a lot of chocolate liqueur, and I bought a truckload of this chocolate liqueur, which used to sell so phenomenally because we used to get it from Costco. It was a product called Anton Berg. So the year before, we sold more than a truckload of. So that year, I pre-ordered a full truckload. We got it. And then right then in October, right when you were able to send meltables, Amazon put a restriction on all liqueur products. So you couldn't send them anymore because they were alcohol based. And we tried to fight it. We showed the documentation that it's sold in the grocery section of supermarkets and Costco, but to no avail. We got stuck with about 50,000 units of these Anton-Bergs.
What did you do with them?
What did we do with them?
How did you liquidate them?
eBay.
On eBay. Wow. How long did that take?
eBay. It took till they almost expired, and then the rest of them we donated. But you know what? After that, we realized that I thought that was going to be the end of the business, and that didn't end us. And
right.
we just really grew and learned a lot from there. I learned how to sell on eBay from there because I was forced to.
So did you guys grow organically, or did you guys get any capital infusions along the way? How did that go?
We grew organically. We did 7-8 months in the basement. And then from there, we got our first 1,200 square foot. Then from 12 to 25, 25 to 5, 5 to 10, and now we're at this 20. We keep doubling up, but it's all been organic growth. The only part that was inorganic was like year 3, and that was Amazon lending. So Amazon lending came into play. They were huge. No bank wanted to deal with us, and Amazon came in and gave us a huge loan.
Yeah, a lot of people talk shit on the Amazon loans, and I'm like, bro, name another way you're gonna get that much money in one click of a button, guaranteed.
Right. Of course, the interest rate is high, but if you manage it correctly and you know how you're gonna flip the product and you watch your cash flow, you manage it correctly, it's worth it. There's no other way you're gonna get that type of funding.
100%, especially like. I'm sure you guys have a much more like large official proper setup than we do. But for me, they don't care how much money's in your bank or what your Amazon deposit, they just want to see payroll. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, if you didn't pay tax on it, you know what I mean? Then we don't care. Right. So to have the loan of one click, Amazon knows you're good for it basically. So.
Because they have $1 million worth of our inventory as well, it's like collateral on the deal.
I kind of feel like when you take, I don't know, this is like a theory of mine, but I kind of feel like when you take the loan and you owe them, they're less likely to fuck with you. You know what I mean? They're less likely to chap you for something because they're like, well, we need this money from these guys.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna get their money regardless. Get their money regardless, whether it's through that way or another way.
So here's a question I just thought of, a little random, but I know a lot of large Amazon sellers do a little bit of gray hat stuff, such as having multiple accounts without Amazon's permission, using anonymous hotspots and blah blah blah. Is that something that you guys do?
No, absolutely not. Our business motto is honesty and integrity, And that's how we've managed to get as big as we are, by understanding Amazon's terms of service and working within it instead of dodging around it.
Do you guys have multiple Amazon accounts?
No,
No, we do not.
just one.
Just one.
And it's the same way, from the beginning when I talked to Eric, I told him, my whole concept behind Amazon Lit was it's just like any brick and mortar retail store, like Albertsons or Kroger, some of these huge supermarkets. They don't have a side name, that they're going by. They're growing their one business, then they pick up other companies. But we have the whole perspective, like Amazon is just the beginning. Amazon is about 5% of all retail, right? They're about, they're 50% of all online, but 5% of all US retail. So this is just the beginning for us. From here, we've slowly started dabbling with wholesale, and then we're looking into some distribution through brick and mortar. And we want to continue to grow. And we want to continue to grow our name.
So especially with your private label products, yeah.
And also the complications. We just recently got our first SBA loan, which is a lot more than we could have gotten from Amazon at any point. It was a lot more. Obviously, it took us almost a year to go through that process. But if we would have had multiple businesses set up and cash flows from all these different streams all on Amazon, it would have been out of the question, because they dig through everything. So because we legitimized from the beginning, it made the process. It made where we are today happen. It wouldn't have happened otherwise.
How many employees do you guys have right now?
32.
Awesome. And they're all working full time? Those are all on hand?
On hand.
Do you guys employ some VAs as well?
Yeah, a couple of them. They haven't worked out too well for us. We have 5 developers on site, which have helped us grow software to automate the buying processes and automate the warehouse processes. And by doing that, the amount that we pay our buyers is well worth it, because they're so much more efficient than a VA can be.
Yeah, the web developers really revolutionized our whole business.
Yeah, no, it's super important. People, I mean, I'm not at that level myself, but people, when they're just getting started, they don't understand how to be efficient, And I think it doesn't come into play until things start really piling up,
Yeah.
But it's just everything needs to be planned out. This is done this way. You pick it up over here, you move it over there, It's you're not just guessing what you're going to do. We have a plan for that.
Every step in our warehouse is planned out, which way the warehouse workers are going to go. And I love that you brought that up, because there is a plan, but it wasn't always like that. Like Eric and I didn't come into this, me being a waiter and Eric having his background in civil engineer. We didn't come in knowing that we were going to be doing this. It was just kind of like putting one foot in front of the other and getting where we are today. Just like I'm sure like 3 years ago, you were like, I'm going to have 90,000 subscribers and everyone's going to be watching, my shows here on a Monday night.
I mean, I was hopeful, but there's still that little, there's that little voice in the back of your head. You know what I mean? It's a lot different than it actually happening,
Yeah, but it's like you're hopeful and that's it. But then the plan kind of just unfolds itself. And obviously through hard work, but it's like we didn't have a step-by-step plan. It's just one foot in front of the other. It's like one door opens and another. We were visiting a wholesaler, and that's where I learned about steps in a warehouse and making sure that wherever someone's picking, they have a plan of where they're picking the products from, because every second counts. I didn't know about this stuff 4 or 5 years ago.
And like 3 years ago, we talk about it often. 3 years ago, our warehouse, we had literally, there would be, 10 employees, maybe?
10 tables,
And they would all come in the morning and grab a picnic table, like a foldable picnic table, and set it up wherever they wanted in the warehouse. Most of them would hide behind pallets.
We throw at them stickers, and they just sit there and stick products.
Yeah, now we have production lines. We're producing a unit from delivery to finish loaded onto a truck between 4.2 and 4.8 seconds per unit. Like delivered to the warehouse, stickered, packaged, palletized, out the door, 4.2 to 4.8 seconds a unit. It's like down to a.
Wait, let's run it back real quick.
Yeah.
From the time, consistently just waiting for stuff to be delivered.
Well, while we're open,
Are you just saying from time of opening package?
No, from operating hours.
Yes.
So from all the hours, if you take all that time that we're open
Right.
during a week and then divide that time by how much.
So let's talk about the process real quick. How does that go? UPS guy drops box off or backs up truck to dock.
Truck to dock. So we have multiple docks. Trucks are backing up. We don't have anyone delivering boxes, right?
No, it's truckloads.
It's all
All right.
truckloads.
Yeah.
So truck door opens up. What happens next?
Our warehouse employees unload the truck and start counting the units and checking the order for discrepancies, damages, expiration dates, all the like.
They're receiving it.
How often is that stuff totally a mess?
Depends what supplier you're talking about.
Yeah,
There's some
depends what
suppliers we
supplier.
work with. I mean, they are so, and that's why they're billion-dollar suppliers.
Yeah.
They don't make a mistake. In the years we've worked with them, it's palletized perfectly. Don't make mistakes. Others, it's a nightmare. Some of them,
Yeah.
but we continue to buy because the pricing is great and the profits are good.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. Cool. So they receive it. Any discrepancies are handled or marked down and then passed on for someone else, I'm assuming,
Yes.
to
Yes.
make
Go
sure you
through.
guys get
Yeah.
paid for, reimbursed, whatever.
Yes, exactly. And so while they're receiving it, then we have our outbound managers. They're the ones that are creating the PO, the PO or the bill of lading that's going out to Amazon, and they're right away adding products to pallets and saying what's production.
So the
station
products
is-
were already listed into your inventory, or are you just talking about a replenished item?
No, they're already. We know what's coming. We have our buyers upstairs. They tell us what's coming, and the day before it comes, it's sent to our outbound management team, and they're the ones that are going through that list and adding it to pallets and getting it ready for production stations. And once it's here, the pickers know where they're going to be bringing it to, and then the production stations are creating kits, which are the ASINs.
Yeah.
And you guys are shipping case packed LTL then?
Full truckloads.
Yeah,
Everything's full
yeah.
truckload.
Full truckloads. We send on average about 13,000 units out 2 to 2.5 times a week.
Pretty much mostly the same thing in each pallet or mixed?
Mixed.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Mostly mixes.
It depends. There might be some pallets that are 4 pallets of the same product, but for the most part, it's an average of 10 different SKUs on a pallet.
So for for each box is always the same stuff then?
Each box has
Yes.
the same stuff. Yes.
So no
Yeah.
no worries with box contents then for the most part.
It just kind of confuses things. Occasionally we'll do it, but then it switches up the whole labeling process. So we try to stay away from it.
Right. But if you had to do box contents, you just pay the 20 cents per item, or?
No, we do it all in house here.
Yeah.
We do everything with the 2D barcode. So
Do you guys use any software, or do you guys make all your own software?
software. Yeah, we developed it all here in house.
Okay. Did you start off like that, or did you use some other stuff on the way up?
Absolutely, didn't start out like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What did you guys use on the way up?
We use Techometrics. We use Celery. There was a box content company that we used for like a month or so before we developed our own.
I forgot the name. Of it.
But Amazon Scout, Keepa, all of those. They're great.
Right.
Yeah.
We use them all. We still use some of them, and we mix them in. We use their APIs to mix it with our own user interface, our own softwares.
How many items are coming through the warehouse a day on average?
Well, ASINs, we're sending out finished ASINs about roughly 30,000, probably a little bit more a week.
Products.
Yeah. So
it's 30,000 ASINs.
Yeah, it's between 6,000 and 7,000 a day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Awesome. So what do you guys think is the most important aspect of wholesale that someone like me should focus on who, my background is retail arbitrage?
Mm-hmm.
I would say from my perspective, I deal a lot with training all the buyers, and it's so important to understand how Amazon works and the fees and the changes in fees, and not just looking at, the FBA calculator and saying, oh, this is the fulfillment cost, but actually understanding why that's the pick and pack fee. Understanding the $4.71 for the first 2 pounds and 38 cents each additional pound, like understanding all the math behind the numbers so you could visually look at a listing and not even use a calculator and just know in your head, like, this is profitable, this is not profitable. So really understanding Amazon as a marketplace, I think it can really revolutionize the way you do business.
Awesome. How do you teach someone to do that?
A lot of time, a lot of kind of letting them go and do their own thing, and then going through every single product that they order, and then bringing them into my office and sitting down with them and spending an hour with them talking about each product that they ordered and why I'd increase this quantity, why I'd decrease that quantity,
Great.
why I'd move that
So
quantity.
like a lot of Keepa stuff.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
then whatever I use like Resells just as a quick extension, to put in costs and see fees and everything. But there's a bunch of them. But
Yeah.
I like that idea because I just recently started having someone do some buying for me. The same concept works for online arbitrage, like, okay,
Yeah.
here you go. Because you can't babysit someone, you know what I mean? If I have to babysit everything you're going to buy, you're not really going to learn and it's going to waste all my time. But hey, if I say, okay, you can spend $300 a day, you can spend, and then monitor that as it comes in, keep track of the products, and then let them know like, oh yeah, this one was hazmat. You should have checked,
Yeah.
You're not allowed to order more than 10 of anything and without checking with me.
Yeah. We have a what is it? A $10,000. Anything over $10,000 needs approval from either myself or Sebastian.
Yeah, we've had $30,000 nightmares a couple times, but we've gotten through them all. And part of it really is, it's letting them go. And that's the hardest. I saw one of the questions up there, like at what point did you go from doing it yourself to getting help? And it's A, if you want to grow, you got to let go. And B, you got to trust others. And that's one of the hardest things because it's like, I know how to do it. I want to do it myself, but I just got to let go. And when I let go and trust others and just kind of let them make mistakes and show them and not yell and harp on them, but be like, okay, this is how we have to do it next time. It's how we grow. Everyone that works here, they're always saying like, you have a trustworthy staff. It's a great community. Eric posts some of the stuff. We have birthdays, we have parties here all the time.
The ugly sweater party.
Sweater party. We're about to have a party coming up soon because we're about to hit 200,000 in reviews. So once we hit these numbers, we have these parties here, and it incentivizes our staff, but it also brings us together. And one thing I've learned is that also when you kind of step out of the work environment and you step back and watch people in real world environment, you get to learn a lot more about people because people act differently at work versus outside when they get comfortable.
Right. Yeah, it's important, man.
Yeah.
Hiring is my least liked thing.
Yes.
But having someone hired who is good is probably my favorite thing. You know what I mean? But for some reason, because as humans, we're wired to have a negativity bias. Even though I've had years and years of employees that were great, every time I have to hire a new employee, for some reason that pain like outweighs it. You know what I mean? So it's important to get better at hiring, but systemize it, make it more about any of those kind of aspects of how do you hire a team that's going to be a fit for your company and what you're doing, including maybe like technical advice that you have for what kind of people to look for or how to get the right people on your team.
Well, it's very challenging we have tons of experience interviewing people. In the past 3 months, we've probably interviewed between the two of us, 50 people, maybe 30 to 50 people, like a lot of people. And we ended up bringing on, maybe 5 of them. So it's very challenging to find someone. You can't just post something like, knows how to buy products for Amazon, because not many people know how to do that. So
what kind of job title would you use?
It depends what the position is.
Purchaser.
Buyer. They got to understand replenishment and know how to do obviously basic math, but also some knowledge of the Amazon market is good. It really depends on the position, but then we also do multiple interviews. We'll bring them in once, bring them in again, and if we got to bring them in a third time, we'll bring them in a third time.
Yeah, we'll ask them questions, what happens if well, how do you handle purchasing the wrong product? And then we'll ask them real life questions, about, I just throw out random questions sometimes, like, hey, have you ever been in a car accident? What happened? Where, and I just like to see their responses, and then I'll throw questions at them like, what would you do if you purchased $20,000 of the wrong product? What's the first thing you're going to do? And there's no right answer. There's no wrong or right answer. I just like to kind of delve into and see how they think about things, and see how they're wired. And at the end of the day, Eric knows it's really not anyone, but most people could be taught something if they're passionate about it. You can learn anything if you're passionate about it. So we're looking
Right.
more for passion than experience, especially in the online world. In purchasing online, it's so new that it's not like you're going to find somebody with 30 years of experience selling and buying on Amazon.
Right. Right.
So we're just looking for people that are passionate and willing to learn and want to learn.
I think that's a huge tip, the passionate part. And I just learned that recently, like in the last year or so, as far as hiring. I know I like hiring younger people, right? Because we have computers. If you can, that's obviously a balance with work ethic and younger, you know what I mean? So, but if you find the right one, you're good. And what I've realized is that you're more likely to find that with someone who has a passion for something outside of work, So my daughter's a musician, and I started hiring from her friends at high school, from her musician friends, kids who had played trumpet their entire life, played piano. And what I realized was they were like all good workers with good work ethic, and they would show up on time, and they would do what and I was like, wow, I think, it's this thing. They've been practicing this thing. Then it requires, showing up on time, doing it again and again. And then I learned that, and I tried it again. I hired another person, they were interested in like deep sea fishing. They were just in the interview, real passionate, talking about, free diving for fish or something. And, but that scales out, you know what I mean? Like people that are passionate about doing stuff, they have the ability to be passionate. You know what I mean? They're not like, I've interviewed people that I'm like, what's your passion? What do you like to do? And they said, I like to party. And I'm like, wow, good Lord. I like to party too, but in what world is that an okay response at an interview?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's like, if you show up, and you look lazy and you didn't dress, at least try to dress somewhat nice, maybe get a haircut, then, and I know that's the best you're going to be, the interview. So that's important to know. Like if you already might not make it and I'm looking at you from the interview, you're probably not going to make it.
Yeah,
but
and you get a good idea in the first couple minutes with someone if they're a valuable asset or not. Just by their demeanor and the way they handle themselves, and you get a decent idea.
Yeah, trust that gut feeling. We all get it.
Oh,
and
definitely.
Sometimes we ignore it. Just trust that gut feeling.
I had a situation where I needed to hire someone really badly, and they asked me at the end of the interview, when do you need me to start? And I was like, honestly, if you could start right now, I can put you to work. And they were like, sure. And they worked 8-hour shifts right off that. And I was like, damn, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Did you keep them around?
Yeah, definitely. Right. That one lasted almost a year. So,
right.
which I consider decent because, man, hiring is very expensive. Takes a lot of time.
Yes. And it takes a lot of effort for yourself, for myself, for Eric. When we hire somebody, it's not like that's it. Like it's a job to teach a job. It's a job in itself to teach a job.
I mean, on top of that, you guys are probably both, do you guys read books?
Yeah.
Or listen to books?
I listen to books.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're into the self-improvement stuff, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I wish I would have learned that earlier. They don't teach you that in public school, right? Like that you can elevate yourself through. They make you read all these dumb books that aren't, I mean, I'm not saying they're dumb, some of them are great, but you know what I mean? They're not the books that, change my life, you know what I mean? Or change the way I get things accomplished, right?
Yeah.
Especially, managing people, I'm not that good at it, but I'm still getting better. You know what I mean? Like you can't yell at people, you know what I mean? You got to understand because people could be good workers, but in a certain way. And you got to kind of understand what that person might be good at or better at, to get to get your best ROI out of that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone's an I heard when it comes to work, not everyone's an honor roll student. So
right, well, some people will run the line forever. You know what I mean? But if those same people had to be told to, their job wasn't run the line, it's figure out, make sure the line runs, you know what I mean? That's a whole different thing. And some people can't do that as well. Some people will get the job done and then await further instructions. You know what I mean? Those people need to be told what to do. Other people need to tell people what to do. Other people need to figure out what needs to be done. So what do you guys got as far as like upper management, like not people who are processing inventory on the floor?
Well, I'm happy you brought that up because where you were just talking about, the strengths and weaknesses, and with 32 people, there's lots of strengths and a lot of weaknesses, and it really is. It's like it's like a small microorganism, and you got to put the pieces of the puzzle together for how people work. So as far as for us, Eric is the director of operations. He's running the entire operation, the warehouse, the buying, the vendors coming in, the suppliers. I kind of control all the developers and the buyers. I'm on top of them. Eric is, I was just speaking of personal development. I was just listening to something yesterday that made me think of what you were saying, Reezy, and back to Eric, which is Greg Maddux was one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but he's a horrible student. A horrible teacher as far as teaching how to throw a pitch. And that's kind of like where I am. I'm great at buying, but I'm horrible at teaching others how to buy. Eric kind of breaks it down and sits with the buyers, and he's great at teaching it. Me, I'm just like, yeah, you got to go on keep, and you got to kind of feel it. You just feel it in your gut. You know what
you just feel that shit.
And that's like the worst way to teach. It works for me. It's worked really well for me, but as far as teaching it in the fundamentals and breaking it down, I'm not the best at that. So I know that's kind of my weakness. So that's where Eric steps in, and he's
extracting it out of you.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's pushing the buyers. He's constantly sitting down with them. He brings them in. He's checking all their purchases, and he's telling them what they could have done better and what they could change next time. Or he's telling them, slapping them on the back and saying that's a great job. But we know our strengths and weaknesses. I think one of my strengths is my ingenuity and kind of being creative with 100%. the way we take the business.
What's the pay structure for the buyers? Is it fixed, hourly? Do they get incentives?
So they have a base salary with commission based on hitting certain numbers, right? So that's kind of where we are.
What kind of numbers? It's not like money spent, is it?
No, it's money earned. It's bottom line profit. So and it's
profits earned from products you purchased.
Yes, and it's a team effort. We thought about this all the way through, and we were thinking of doing it separately, but it's one number, and if the team hits that number, then they share it because there's certain.
So does that encourage the team to help each other out?
To help each other and to say, hey, I got so and so product coming from this supplier. Can you check your supplier? I want to know if you got a better price on it right now.
So how is that metric displayed for them? Do you have it on the wall every day, or what is it?
Our software.
They have it in their software,
and they could run reports. It's very transparent. We want to be super open with them, so they could run reports and they could see, break it down by supplier, break it down by brand, just see all the numbers on a daily basis.
And that's awesome.
Go ahead. Sorry,
no, I was just complimenting you. That's a really good team building strategy because that's really. I thought it was just me and my small business, but I figured, that's how it is when you grow and you get bigger, I do it my way. I teach the employee to do it how I do it. He changes it a little bit, gets a little better. Next guy comes in, teaches the next guy, he can't, you know what I mean? Everyone helps each other out, but you kind of got to encourage that, you know what I mean? So I really like that. It's financially motivated, which everyone speaks that language. So.
And we do the same thing for downstairs. Downstairs, it's based on production. So obviously downstairs, they have no control of the profits we're making, but they have control of how fast we can move these products out. So for them downstairs, it's a team effort as far as production. And if we hit those numbers in production.
What metric is that you're tracking for them?
ASINs going out. ASINs outbound.
Fully packaged ASINs, whether it's.
And when you say ASINs, you don't mean you mean units total, right?
Yeah. So a sellable, an ASIN for us is a sellable, whether it's a 3-pack, 6-pack.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you didn't mean like 30 million things, but 1 million of each thing, and you're saying 30. So yeah,
so
cool.
And it's also like it's tiered. So like for downstairs, for example, it's a certain number, the goal, but if they get within 5% of that goal, they start getting paid a bonus.
Right. So they're for one, they're financially motivated to hit that goal and to help each other hit the goal, which encourages teamwork, etc. So
and the goal has no ceiling. So you hit 100% of the goal, you can also go to 120% of the goal. You could go to 200% of the goal if we go there. You'll get it. So the goal has no ceiling. Just like how we want to continue to grow without any ceiling, we give them that same sort of opportunity. So
right, yeah, I need to implement something like that where same concept but a little bit different strategy. I have eBay stuff and Amazon stuff. And my part-time worker will come in and do the Amazon stuff and then not do the eBay stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, look, for every hour beyond eBay stuff, some kind of financial increase, okay, well, guess what? You get paid more now to do eBay stuff. So you might want to pay attention.
It's a huge motivator. We implemented a new incentive program just in early February, and we've seen 15, maybe 20% increase in production just after that incentive program.
Just removing the ceiling. That's what we did. I mean, we've always had incentive programs. Probably what, 3 years now we started?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
So we've had them for quite some time. But when we removed the ceiling, we said, why are we capping this? Let's remove the cap.
Yeah, I mean, everybody speaks that language. I feel like something as simple as that could turn like an average salesman into a slayer. Like I used to work in a skate shop over 15 years ago, and they just turned on commission. And I don't remember if it was 10 or 15% commission, but before it was nothing. And I went from selling $300 a day to selling no less than $1,000 a day. Like that was my goal. I was like, I'm not leaving here till I sell $1,000 because I'm getting that extra 100 or 150 a day. You know what I mean? And the owner was just so stupid. He quit the program after a while, but it just changed me and showed me. I was like, wow, if I really try, instead of just kind of getting paid and just hanging out, really can motivate you to get some stuff done. So someone they must have showed up late. They asked if you were into private labeling, but let's condense that a little bit. What are a couple tips, 3 to 5 tips for private labeling for people like me that do retail arbitrage? A lot of people that watch my channel are just getting into Amazon. They're not full-time yet. Maybe they, might have $5,000. I don't know, maybe less. So like just some tips and maybe, how much money you would recommend or, don't do this, do that, anything you guys could give me would be helpful.
I wouldn't go into private labeling without at least 50. I would start with retail or online. I'd be too scared, and I'm a risk taker, and I'd be too scared to put all my eggs in one basket with private label because I've seen what happens. I mean, you have a lot of companies from overseas that they're manufacturing their products. Their neighbors own those factories, and they're bringing these products over, and you just can't compete with their pricing. But then again, if you find a nice private label, we have a couple private labels that are right in our neck of the woods. We have manufacturers on the East Coast in New York that manufacture some of our goods for us, and because it makes sense.
Right.
You have to think about what makes sense. What does America still produce that?
So what are the things that the 50,000, like why do you need 50,000? You know what I mean? Like there's reasons behind it. It's not just because you need to buy that much product, right?
No. I would, because for me personally, I would be doing some A/B testing. I would diversify. So let's say I was getting into if I wanted to get into children's utensils, right? Forks, spoons, knives, things like that. Maybe I would look into food grade silicone. Maybe then maybe I look into the bamboo products, and I would try a couple different products that I would try to come out with and diversify and see what works best. And then you're gonna have to send them out and
Advertise.
you're
for
going to have
them.
to advertise it when you send them out. You're going to create different listings. So maybe the same product, maybe you decide to go with the food grade silicone, and you're going to, I would send them out as 3, 4, 5 different listings and see which one sells better based on advertising, based on images, based on the way you display them. Maybe they're different varieties that you mix and match.
That's a huge tip. I've never actually heard anyone say that, is to make multiple listings for your own same product so that you can A/B test it that way. That's very smart.
Right. I mean, let's say you send out 60 ASINs, right? Amazon's pullback rate is great. It's only 50 cents an ASIN to pull it back. So you're talking about $30. So you're investing all this money. Send out under 5 different listings, 60 ASINs each to try to test the market. You're talking about pulling that back is going to cost you, if you had to pull it all back, it's going to cost you $150. I mean, you can learn a lot. Money well spent. Great investment for $100.
Yeah, no, really great, and capturing a lot of data in a fast period of time versus having one listing and switching the images, or which I don't even know how you would do it. I guess I guess some people probably do it like that, but this way sounds way better. But then on top of that, you also have you have to buy your load 3 times, 2 times. You got to restock. You're ordering your second load when the first one's halfway gone. Or
based on sales metrics, we're going to calculate how many it's moving a day and what the lead time is to get it. Fortunately for us, most of the private label products we get are within a couple hour drive. So, we just place an order. It's here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage.
Yeah. And we prefer, listen, nothing's wrong with going overseas. We do get a few products from overseas. But if we have the opportunity to pay a couple cents more and get them manufactured in the United States, we're all over that.
Why not? I mean, not to mention supporting American jobs, but do you market your products as made in USA as well? Then
yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the advantages. I mean, we are making them in the USA, and we're gonna say we make them in the USA. We're proud that they're made here.
Right.
Yeah.
Put a darn American flag on it.
Yeah, that's right. There is one. You bet you.
If we're paying, I do it, man. I would.
Yeah,
I would.
Of course.
Made in America, brother.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's give a couple more questions over here. This is a good one because I struggle with this on my level. I can only imagine what you guys have to do. What do you do with your returns?
Oh man, our returns. So we got a few options with returns. We either send them back out, FBA, based on condition. We list them on eBay, or we take them to flea markets, or offer them to our employees.
So how often do you guys do the flea markets?
We just started doing them maybe 6-8 months ago. So we did a few, and then it got super cold over here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Winter, it's freezing, but we're scheduled for the first Saturday in what month is it? April. First month in April, or first week in April.
So is that one person's job, eBay?
Yeah, it's my job, and
sorry.
You can hear how much he loves it.
That's my job. Our eBay sales are less than 1%. It's less than a half.
It's your fault.
Yes, it's my fault.
No, it's a pain, man. It's a pain.
Yeah.
My 18-year-old daughter sells her clothing on Depop, right? And it's like her first experience, even though I've been doing this for 15 years, she never really got involved. But she's her first experience, listing stuff and selling it and shipping it. And she's like, God, Dad, it's so much work, because it's, she's putting it on and taking a picture of herself and each item, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, for one, if you want to save time, you better get like a mannequin, with the magnetic removable arm and get your process down, photograph everything, stack it, she wasn't trying to hear it, because that's how my brain works, not how her brain works. Right. But it's, when stuff like books are easier to process, they have barcodes, you scan them, and Amazon in general, we don't have to take pictures, unless we're creating a listing. And if you do, that's only one time. Right. So, it's not like every time you have to create a listing, like eBay, right? So
and we do have a
bummer.
We do have a photo studio here. We take a lot of our own pictures. It's just and I've even considered taking some eBay courses. I'm a fan of learning from people who know what they're doing, and eBay's not a new marketplace for us, but as far as growth on eBay, it's nowhere
Right.
near where it is on
Right.
Amazon.
What kind of things, because obviously you know how to sell on eBay, what kind of things does someone like you want to improve on eBay?
Just sales, man. Like I want to make more sales. You know, we get a few. We probably have like 400 listings right now, and maybe 8% of them sell well, and the rest
Okay.
just kind of, you know, a few a week, a few a month, just not high movers.
Right.
You know, so like volume. I
Right.
want to take wholesale aspect to eBay.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'm curious. I can't help you with that, but I definitely know someone who can. If you're listening, contact me. Let's help Eric and Sebastian out because, you know, maybe they want to know about, you know, wholesale and you guys can just help each other out. That would be great. Because it really is all about, you know, systems and little things. You know, someone could show up, you know, and they don't, you know, they're not a $10 million a year eBay seller. Maybe they only do 150,000 or 800, whatever, but they have systems, you know what I mean? And just one little switch, you know what I mean, saves you guys 10,000 a month or makes you an extra 10,000 a month or whatever. So super important to learn from people that know what they're doing.
100%.
Let's see if we got anything else here. What do you guys think most important stuff for wholesaling is? Is it volume?
Yeah, I would say that is the whole concept behind wholesale.
Especially starting.
Yeah.
Especially starting. You have to be comfortable with lower margins at first. You know, I mean, a few years back we had some low margins and it was very uncomfortable, but we had goals in mind and we knew that if we kept pushing the volume we were pushing, we were going to you know, kind of like they say, shake the leaves off the tree, and someone was going to notice. And large wholesalers noticed. We, you know, they contacted us, they reached out to us, and also from doing those processes, we learned a lot. And you can't put a price tag on the knowledge that we learned from doing these processes. But you know, we went through a process in a time where the profits weren't where we wanted them to be, not at all. But it got us to where we are today. But when you're smaller, you have to understand. You know, I see a lot of young cats on you know, on Instagram and just online. They're like, you know, if I'm not making 100%, I don't want to be doing it. And it's like, that's not
Right.
reality. You're dealing with companies that have been around, you know, 20, 30 years plus, and they don't want anything to do with online sellers until they see the numbers, until it makes sense for them.
Right. Right. And so with volume also comes discounts, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
With volume comes discounts. With volume comes an Amazon account rep that works exclusively with you. You know.
Yeah.
And other programs and pilot programs that other sellers aren't part of.
Yeah.
That's got to be awesome because that's probably a lot of people's frustration is that we get the short end of the stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, in business, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how close you get to somebody and how well you become friends with them. If you're not filling their pockets with the green, they're going to move on to somebody else that is. You know?
Yeah. It's that financial attention factor.
That's it.
Do you guys sell directly to Amazon on anything?
No, but we're hoping that a lot of those that were selling directly on Amazon, and now Amazon gave them the boot this week. That was the big article. They'll come and see Amazon list. So come on over.
All the suppliers.
All the 1Ps. Yeah,
Yeah.
come give Eric a call.
Right.
We're here.
We'll
We're
take
ready.
them to a whole new level of online sales.
Yeah.
Be ordering.
Yeah. No. I mean,
time.
Why do you guys think that happened, or what are your guys' thoughts on that whole scenario?
I personally think Amazon makes more money off of third-party sellers than they make off of 1P. You know,
Right.
they're killing the game with the pick and pack fees and the referral fees and the storage fees and the ridiculous.
But that's obviously not something that they just realized that they could make more. So do you think they, you know, they baited the trap, so to say, and then now they're like, okay, now they'd have to be stupid not to realize this is where the money is. Let's cut them loose and then send them an email about how to be maybe a three-party seller.
Exactly.
And the beautiful thing really about that is, and we deal with it with companies all the time. You know, we meet a company who's got a great product and sells decent on Amazon. And they're like, listen, I'm going to take care of the fulfillment. And it's like, you have 0 reviews, or let's even say 1,000 customer reviews, a 98% customer feedback rating. Like, you don't have the methods in place to produce, 8,000 orders a month or whatever it is. Like, it's so much deeper. And then the refunds, the lost units, the discrepancies with shipping fees, like it's like a whole different realm that they don't even understand. But so we tell them to try it themselves, and then they usually call us in 3 months. And
we have a software developer, and we use the third party. We still use a third party refund company, and our software developer was able to get us back $18,000 in refunds that were missed by this third party that we were using. So,
Wow.
I mean, just minute details like that, just changes in fulfillment fees that you don't even notice. One day you're paying $3, next day it's $305. Well, why did it go up to $305? It was an error on Amazon's part. Listen, they're dealing with a lot of analytics, a lot of
It's
numbers.
a full-time job making sure we get
Yeah.
our money from these guys.
Yeah, 100%.
And we can spend all night going into whether it's on purpose or not. We won't do that. But at the end of the day,
100% on purpose.
it's
It's just more efficient for them, and they know it. So
well, think about if they just made a penny extra on every order that goes through, every transaction a day, right? So
yeah, just a penny extra, guys.
And that's why it's super important to understand the fees behind
and
Amazon.
the reports and everything else behind Amazon.
It's not just listing products and selling products. It's like there's a whole different level to
a lot of people don't understand that stuff can change on Amazon. Like you're saying, the product weight is incorrect. The fees were too much, Sometimes I'm looking at a product to purchase, and at first I go, wait, it's not profitable. But then I go, wait. There's no way this tube of ointment weighs 2 pounds. You know what I mean? And so then I need to go and figure out what the fees should be, and then it's kind of like, I'm going to buy a little bit and test it, and then get them to fix the page. You know what I mean? But it's super important, man. And then there's also people that do that maliciously. Have you guys had any experience with that kind of stuff?
I'm sure we have, but we don't have enough time to really pay attention to it or, to harp on it. So it might happen. But, one of the biggest things that we see often is you have a listing that you send out as a 3-pack, and then you look back and a couple weeks later, it's a single. And you're like, what's happened here? I'm giving away now product. And
right.
And you contact seller support, and we all know what seller support is like. So
right, yeah. Well, yeah, I actually had something similar happen to me recently. My buyer purchased units, and then he's only been buying for me for like a couple weeks, but it was a 3-pack, and he sent in single units, and so now I'm like dealing with very likely bad feedback, right? And so I'm refunding them. You can keep it. Let me send you a gift card, like anything I can do, because I don't need 25 bad feedback. But the lesson for that one was like, hey, you should have realized that this was happening, that the 3-pack 1-pack thing, because the profit was too great on this one little unit. So that's like the dead giveaway. When the scenario is too good, you're like, hold up, deep breath, like need to figure this one out, right? It's like one of those things. Or the price just popped up right now, you can't trust that, right? So
and you have to be, and to segue into kind of what you said, you have to be looking at the big picture, because like you said, like, you're willing to lose money and even give away more of your own money in order to look at the big picture, which is your seller account and your feedback. That's everything.
Right.
And some people just don't notice that. They're looking at the one order and how much they're making on this order, and that's it. And it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in wholesale. I'm talking online arbitrage, but still, it is, I'm vested in my employee getting better at doing that and continuing to do that without my account blowing up.
Yes, and you're vested in your account.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's super. Yeah, sometimes, like I sell a lot of shoes. Amazon recently made the rule where, you can brown box shoes now, so you can buy shoes that don't have a box, put them in a brown box, and then send them in as new. But I wouldn't do that, right? Like, you can do that, but I don't want to, because I don't feel like that would create a good customer experience, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Amazon might go back on that at some point, because as sellers, there's a lot of stupid sellers that really just basically do everything they're allowed to do up into the limit, and Amazon's completely automated. So they'll just start putting whatever shoes in boxes. And now they're like milking these used shoes and cleaning them off and saying they're new. Like people do whatever, and that'll ruin the customer experience. And Amazon will fix it because they're smart.
Yeah. I know if I'm spending $120 on a pair of shoes, I don't want them in a brown box.
Right?
I want it in like a Nike box or Adidas, whatever the box is. That's the box I wanted it.
Right. It would feel weird, right? Like I might think it's a bootleg shoe, even though it's not, just because the box.
What did Sebastian? You ordered shoes online. What'd you get? Sponges?
I got before in my Amazon days. I ordered a pair of really nice shoes. I forgot on some site, and I got 2 sponges 3 weeks later. I got 2. Yeah, and thank goodness for PayPal. I went to the website. The website was gone. This is going 8-9 years back, and thank goodness for PayPal. PayPal gave me the money back.
So, real quick, let's talk about startup wholesale. What kind of cash would you recommend someone start up with wholesale? And like if you had, $5,000 and you were starting wholesale while you were working a 40-hour-a-week job, what would you do?
I would start making phone calls. And going through product catalogs, and not digging on the first page of Google, digging a little deeper than that, and really, really building relationships. And before I'm even placing an order, like for every 20 wholesalers you reach out to, you'll be lucky if you end up striking a deal with one of them, because you're going to sort through a lot of catalogs. So I'd be getting catalogs, searching those catalogs, compiling orders, and then really putting that $5,000 towards whatever distributor I end up going with.
What do you say? Just on the side, learn how to make yourself a website real quick?
No, I actually, what, for like to show them?
Yeah, when they ask, when you're trying to seem larger than you are, when you're trying to seem like you're not just a guy out of the garage on the weekends.
Yeah. I don't know. We never really got into that. We kind of feel like it's best to start the relationship honest and let them know, like, hey, we sell products on Amazon, because I don't want a confusion. I don't want any misleading relationship from the get, right? I don't want to buy the products from my website and then 2 weeks later sell them on Amazon. I want to let them know, like, hey, I'm buying these products for Amazon. Is that cool? And if it's not, then let's talk about it. And if it's still not cool, then I'll move on to the next guy.
Right. So just leading, I'm a small Amazon seller, or I guess you don't have to say small, but
yeah, you don't have to say small.
We're an Amazon. We're a company that sells wholesale products on Amazon.
Yeah.
You have to find the right one, and the smaller you are, the more work you have to put in. So what you don't have is a lot of capital. What you need to have is a lot of sweat equity. So you got to make up for that. You got to put the work in. If you only got 5,000, you better spend a lot of time to make that 5,000 equal 50,000, which means you got to put a lot of time, a lot of no's. I'm not taking this. I'm not taking that. Like Eric said, you're gonna look through a lot of catalogs, go through a lot of Google pages. To find our largest suppliers, it took years. And it didn't just fall on our lap. It was going to a lot of shows. It was a lot of time networking.
How valuable would you say going to trade shows is, like ASD?
So valuable. I learned so much. Just like how
let's talk about that real quick. What's the way to get the most out of going to the trade show?
Being vulnerable and being open and and talking to people. Just talking to people. And learning. I stay so open. I go to shows. I don't like to talk much about what our company and what we do with vendors and suppliers. Yes, I will, because I'm trying to negotiate deals and stuff. But when I'm meeting people, I'm just learning from them, and I'm maybe throwing something at them, and we're going back and forth. It's kind of like we are here, and always picking up those, like you said, golden nuggets. So important. We've gone to so many shows where on the way down, I'm bitching. I'm like, this is gonna suck. Everyone's gonna deny us because you get a lot of people that just reject you. You got to be okay with the rejection, and people just really just being like, oh, you're an Amazon seller. F you, get out of my face. Like you get that, and you have to be okay. Wipe yourself off and go on to the next one. Dust yourself off and keep it moving. And because going through those processes, I met some of the best people, and we've met some of the greatest companies, that we work with to this day. Got us to the level we are today.
Is it getting easier to get relationships with suppliers when you say you're an Amazon seller? Is that becoming more accepted?
It's give or take, really. It's a lot of miss and very few hits, but the point and the really process of continuation of going to the shows is that they might not be ready this year, but next year they may be ready. I just went to Expo West and ran into a company that I met for the first time last year, and this lady wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. I sent her 8 emails in the past year. She didn't respond to any of them. I showed up to Expo West, went straight to her booth, and was like, "What's up? Why aren't you responding to my emails?" And she's like, "Eric, you came at the perfect time. Like, I need someone to fulfill my products. It's getting too out of hand." And it's like diligence, and persistence. Like, it's like a lot of no's, equal yes.
A lot of these people at these companies, they don't, they're just employees at a job. It's not like us, how we run our business. We live and breathe and hang on it. I certainly wouldn't miss 8 emails, maybe one, but I'm not going to miss 8, and I deal with these people. You call them, they don't answer. You leave a voicemail, they don't call. You email them, nothing. If you don't show up, you know what I mean? So that's a really good point. One more question before we wrap it up here, because we went a little bit over the hour, and I apologize. What do you guys think about Amazon cutting you guys out of the picture and going directly to the suppliers? How likely is that? Are you scared of that? What do you think about that at all?
No, we don't think about that. Can that happen in the future? Yeah, that's why we're growing our wholesale and we're looking into brick and mortar. But I mean, just because of the news last week, they're cutting out the wholesale suppliers and making them go to third party route. So we provide a service. We go to a lot of shows, and if you go to shows, there's so many new vendors and manufacturers every year. There's so many new companies and brands that, as long as the service that we provide is going to be needed, as long as there's new companies coming. So I don't see that happening. I don't. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 years, but I'm a strong advocate. If you put one foot in front of the other, you put the diligence in, no matter what happens. Our company is not the same company it was in 2018 January or 2017 January. I mean, completely different company. We're constantly changing, evolving. I think that's what you have to do, right? With the way technology and everything's changing. I mean, we were talking 7 years ago, food wasn't sold. 10 years ago, the first smartphones were coming out. I mean, things are rapidly changing, and if we're not on top of our game, we're going to fall behind. So we're just kind of going with the motion, enjoying the flow, and seeing what happens. That's part of the reason we're doing, venturing into the Instagram and the social media, because Eric's a strong advocate of, seeing where that goes, and I'm with him. I have no idea. This is Eric's baby here, and he's all about it. And I'm just like, I don't like to close the door on anything. So I'm like, let's try.
I'm telling you, the opportunity for whatever you want to do with it, is huge. And it's here right now. I can't tell you, whether or not it's going to be here in 5 years, so, and it's just pretty crazy. It goes along in lines with Amazon, with any of this other stuff, like I started YouTube from 0 3 years ago, and I can now live off of YouTube, me and my family, which is insane, right? Like, it's just insane. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of things like that you can do nowadays in America using the internet that you couldn't do, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I say this too much, but things like Uber Eats and DoorDash, you know what I mean? They changed the restaurant game, right? Because now you have restaurants that have shitty locations, but they're just killing it in sales because their location doesn't matter anymore. It's all about their food quality. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because it's not what street are you on and how many people walk by your restaurant. It's where do you show up in the search results of this app.
Yeah.
which is crazy. And some people will understand that and some people won't, you know?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of people say, I don't know about this computer world. It's not for me.
It's like it's changing everything, you know. And really one of the reasons we got into what we got into with the whole Instagram and Facebook and the mentoring and is because we watch people like yourself, right? And there's very few people who actually create content and really live like the Amazon life or the YouTube video making life or the eBay life. They might have sold some products and then all of a sudden they create a course and they're selling it for 2,500. And me and Sebastian and I, we watched a few of these courses and 2 or 3 videos in, we're like, what are these people talking about?
What is this trash?
It's like, and we just saw a lack of real knowledge out there. And this is what we do for a living, you know. We sleep, eat, shit, and breathe, you know, FBA. Like this is what we do 7 days a week, and we figured we'd offer a taste of that experience to the people that we bring into it.
Definitely, man. I definitely like what you guys are doing for sure.
Thank you,
I'm going to take you guys up on coming over to the East Coast and checking you out sometime, checking your warehouse out.
Absolutely.
Sometime hopefully in the later end of this year, I'll get in touch with you guys, but do a little East Coast tour.
Cool.
Maybe shoot some footage if you guys are into it. How can people get a hold of you on Instagram, right? Amazon Lit.
Yeah, so Instagram's Amazon_lit, and Facebook's Amazon Lit, and you could DM us, shoot us a PM, and all the information is there.
DM, PM.
Yeah, email. You know, our phone number's on there. Yeah. We got all the M's. You know?
All M's. DM, EM, PM, 3M. From AM to PM.
Yeah.
You guys have a website too, yeah? Or no?
No website.
No website. No website.
No. Okay. Well, any parting words you have for these guys?
Just keep powerhousing through, you know, whatever trials or tribulations you may be facing today, they will be a past tomorrow. And really, it's all about just keep moving forward and putting one foot in front of the other and staying motivated and positive. You know, that's that would be my words of wisdom for everybody out there trying to get into really any hustle, regardless of what hustle it is. It's like just stay positive, motivated, and keep powerhousing through. And like there's light at the end of that tunnel.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And I would just say, kind of to segue off that, was I just met Reezy for the first time, and I would guarantee that Reezy, Eric, and myself, our biggest hurdles have been ourselves and the self-doubts that I have and telling myself that I can't do it, and then being like, you know what, having bad experiences and saying fuck it. And where Eric started off in the beginning saying, you know, we're human, so not every day is perfect, but one foot in front of the other and just don't give up. It's that all 3 of us are here right now just because of that, I think. You know, I stay passionate, I stay diligent, and I just put one foot in front of the other.
Yep. Yeah, I always say that, you know, I may not be the smartest, you know what I mean, but I'm not going to give up. You know what I mean? So, and if you don't give up, you can't fail, right? So
no, that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I appreciate you. Head over to my website, grab my free Amazon course, reezyresells.com. Make sure you check out Eric and Sebastian on Instagram. They post on the wall a little bit. On the story is where I see some good content from these guys, some behind the scenes stuff. Post some more stuff, guys. We love to see the warehouse, see what's going on in the background.
Yeah, Reezy, thanks so much for having us, man.
Stay lit, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. And remember, if you ain't flipping, you slipping. Peace.
See you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.